I just got back from a 3-night cruise aboard Cunard Cruise Line's Queen Elizabeth. It was my 3rd time sailing with Cunard and my 1st time aboard the Queen Elizabeth. We sailed from Vancouver to San Francisco. Today I'm going to walk you through my short trip. We're going to take a good look all around the Queen Elizabeth. I'm going to show you the sports zone, the pool decks, the beautiful interior, all of the venues and lounges that you can expect to find if you cruise aboard the Queen Elizabeth. We're also going to take a quick look around the port of Vancouver. I'm going to show you a few things you might want to see or do while you're there. We're going to take a look at doing a 3-night cruise and whether or not it's worth it. And at the end of the video, I'm going to do something I have never done before and give you a cost breakdown of what I paid for this cruise. The Queen Elizabeth is an elegant, dazzling ship with a lot to offer, so let's get started. I flew into Vancouver 2 nights before my cruise. If you're new to the port of Vancouver, you're going to want to know that there's plenty of things to see just walking around the city. There are a lot of things to do at the waterfront, and you can take day trips and tours that you can find online. But the waterfront area is a fascinating place. Plan to spend some time here. You can watch planes landing and taking off on the water. Make sure you find the big raindrop to take a picture of. There are a lot of places to eat here. There are a lot of shops here. If you'd like a Canadian souvenir, make sure you stop in. If there is a cruise ship in port, you can watch it sail away. You can see helicopters coming and going, and different cargo ships as well. If you would like to stay right next to the waterfront, you're going to want to look for the Pan Pacific Vancouver Hotel, possibly the Fairmont Waterfront or the Exchange Hotel Vancouver. I stayed at the St. Regis Hotel, which was about a 10-minute walk away from the port. I thought it was a great hotel and it worked out just fine. As I said, I flew in 2 nights before my cruise, so I spent the first night exploring the city on foot and spending time at the waterfront. But the next day, the day before my cruise, I took a guided tour. The tour that I chose took us to Grouse Mountain and Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. I found this tour through TripAdvisor. It was a wonderful way to spend the day. It began in the morning and lasted almost 7 hours, so it ate up most of the day. We got to go on the suspension bridge, ride a gondola, see the mountains, see some grizzly bears, ride a chairlift, see a lumberjack show, all kinds of different things, and we got to walk on this scary-looking cliff walk. Now, I will have much more details about this particular tour on my channel soon, but in any case, it was a wonderful way to spend the day, get out and see some nature, enjoy some very unusual, unique things. And before I knew it, it was the night before the cruise. I spent the evening taking it easy, repacking my bags, and preparing to board the ship the next day. The next day was the first day of my 3-night cruise. I went down to the port. Boarding the Queen Elizabeth was a wonderful experience. I was taken in immediately by how beautiful it was. This is a very distinct ship. If you have cruised with Cunard on any of their other ships, you know exactly what I mean. I went straight up to the pool deck because it was a very warm day. It was warm inside the ship, and I love spending time on a pool deck when I'm cruising. The pool deck on Queen Elizabeth did not disappoint. The very back of the ship had this beautiful pool here with hot tubs. There was also a garden pool in the middle of the ship. There were plenty of sun chairs and loungers all over the place. Inside the ship was remarkable. This lobby is stunning. I spent quite a bit of time here just staring and taking pictures, listening to live music. There are a lot of lounge chairs and areas to sit all around this lobby. You can sit here and have some coffee or a drink, listen to the live music, and just enjoy the scenery. I had booked an interior cabin since it was such a short cruise. Plus, the interior room was the only room left by the time I found this cruise. I will get more into that later. In the evening, I went up to take pictures of the sunset and watch sail away from Vancouver. If you've never cruised out of Vancouver before, it's a very exciting port to leave from. You get to go underneath the Lions Gate Bridge, and it is always very exciting when you get to do that, especially with a gorgeous sunset like this. As you can see, it looked like we were barely going to clear. There were people on the bridge waving Canadian flags and cheering us on our way. I had big plans to go to the main dining room for dinner. However, the sunset was so breathtaking, I just stayed on the top decks and just took it all in, watched the skies change, watched the waters change, took a lot of pictures and video, really just soaked it in. Views like this are one of the best reasons to cruise in the first place, and I could not go inside and ignore this beautiful, beautiful sunset. The next 2 days were days at sea, and I made the most of them by enjoying the ship. I had breakfast in the main dining room. I found the food here to be terrific, and the service was terrific. I discovered the sports deck and found this to be such an interesting place. There's a croquet court, a pickleball court, and a bocce ball court. Lots of sporting events you can do up here, and it's just beautiful. I spent hours and hours on the pool deck because we had beautiful weather. I enjoyed getting up early enough to see the sunrise. I deeply regretted not bringing a swimsuit because the pools and hot tubs looked so inviting. This garden pool was very popular all day long, and right next to the garden pool is this garden lounge. This is an indoor area where you can get plenty of sunshine, it's warm inside, and buy fancy coffees, or you can have drinks from the bar. Now, in case you're wondering about the Queen Elizabeth, she is the third largest ship in the Cunard fleet. She is very close to the size of the Queen Victoria. She is just over 90,000 gross tons. She is about 14 years old. She can hold over 2,000 passengers. She has over 1,000 cabins, and she is just beautiful. I spent my 2 days at sea really enjoying the ship. Here is the Golden Lion. This was a popular place to hang out and listen to live music. This is the Commodore Club. Gorgeous room. You can see all of the windows, live music in the evening. We did have performances on the 3 nights I was on the ship. I went to one of them in the Royal Theatre. You can see how beautiful this theater is, and it even has box seats. This is the Yacht Club. It was empty almost all day long, both days I was on the ship, but in the evening there was live music, activities, and karaoke here. I visited the buffet often. I found the food here to be pretty good. I felt like some of the selections were a little on the low side, but the food was great. I also visited the poolside grill for a vegetarian burger. It was terrific. I enjoyed the custom-made pizzas available at the buffet. And I also enjoyed tea and scones and all of those things at the Corinthia Cafe. The Queen Elizabeth has a library. Make sure you go visit. It is stunning, and it's 2 stories high, and there are over 6,000 books in here. They do have some shops. Most of them are very high-end. I spent all 3 of my evenings watching Dancing in the Queen's Room. If you're not familiar with Cunard, ballroom dancing is a big thing on these ships. Recorded ballroom music is available during the day, and many people utilize it and dance. And in the evening, there's always live music to dance to, and it is a very popular event. There was a casino on board I didn't visit, but it looked like a nice casino. I spent the majority of my time during the day out on the pool deck, really enjoyed the weather, being at sea, soaking in the sunshine, and just relaxing. And let me just take a minute to say here, if you have ever considered cruising solo and you're a little bit hesitant, you wonder if it might be enjoyable or not, I would encourage you to give that some thought. I very much enjoy cruising solo. It's really special to be able to take this time for yourself in such a beautiful, luxurious setting, to do whatever you feel like doing. You can spend the whole day at the casino, you can spend the whole day on the pool deck. And there are beautiful lounges to sit around and read a book or just enjoy live music. In addition to spending most of my 3 days at the pool deck, I also enjoyed some of the organized activities, especially some of the organized sports activities and games and tournaments. I enjoyed trivia, working the puzzle table, and all kinds of different things like that. The morning of disembarkation, we pulled into San Francisco very early, and of course, it was very foggy. And before I knew it, I was at the airport and on my way home. Now that I've walked you through my little 3-day cruise, I want to address 2 things I said I would. First of all, a 3-night cruise. Was it worth it? For me personally, yes. Now it might not be worth it to you, but for me, I enjoyed this very much. I saw this as a combination of work and vacation. I wanted to go. I wanted to try out the Queen Elizabeth. But I got an incredible last-minute deal on this short little cruise, so I jumped on it. I also saw this as an opportunity to review the ship, take different videos, and make different videos for my channel from this trip. As far as the vacation side of it, it was wonderful. I enjoyed exploring Vancouver, I enjoyed spending time on the ship, and as I said, I enjoyed my time at sea. The second thing I want to address before we sign off is I want to show you what I paid for this cruise. Now, I have never done this before. I feel like, in a way, it's irrelevant what I paid for my cruise because cruise prices vary so much depending on what time of year you choose to go, what the itinerary is, which ship you choose, and which cabin you choose. However, many people have asked me to break down what I pay for cruises, so for this one video, I'm going to show you what I paid. First of all, I found my cruise by going to the Cunard website and shopping under their Sailing Soon savings. If you go to their website, click Offers, there is a Sailing Soon option. That's where you're going to scroll if you're shopping for a bargain at the last minute. And that's what I did with this cruise. For example, here are cruises to Norway. Now here's an amazing deal. This cruise leaves in 2 weeks. It is a westbound transatlantic on the Queen Mary II. $844 per person. Now that's per person, so if you're traveling solo and using a standard size room, not a solo cabin, but a standard cabin, you will pay double that. Just the same. $1,700 for 8 nights on the Queen Mary II is incredible. So if you're looking for a last-minute bargain, I encourage you to come here and shop these deals. This is where I found my cruise, and this is what I paid. Shopping on the Sailing Soon button with less than a month's notice, booking an interior cabin class IE, my cruise fare came out to $566. That is my total cruise fare, including taxes, even though I'm traveling solo. I paid $50 for Cunard Care, which is travel insurance. I paid $50 for a shuttle to the San Francisco airport, and that brought my cruise fare total to $666. Now, in addition to this, I did pay tips, the recommended gratuities per day, which were $16 a day. I also chose to buy the internet package on Cunard. I bought the essential internet package, which is the least expensive, and that was $18 a day. So those expenses came out to $102 in total. Now, aside from this, of course, I had to pay for airfare. I paid for a hotel room before the cruise. Those are things I'm not going to factor into this particular discussion because I would have paid for those things regardless if this was a 3-day cruise or a 2-week cruise. So in my mind, those don't really factor into the conversation about getting a great deal on this cruise. And also, what people have asked for is to see what I pay for a cruise, not necessarily all of the extras. And of course, your airfare will vary depending on where you're traveling from. So, to go back to the original question, what did I pay for this cruise? $666 for 3 nights on the ship. And I had almost 3 full days on the ship because I did board at noon that first day. Now, before we wrap it up and say goodbye, I'd like to ask all of my viewers a few questions, and I'd love your answers in the comments. First of all, if you have any specific tips for your fellow travelers about traveling on the Queen Elizabeth or any of the Cunard ships, please leave a comment here. Secondly, what are your thoughts on the pros and cons of a 3-night cruise and a last-minute cruise? Have you found that these work out well for you, or do you have some thoughts you'd like to share? Please leave a comment. Here are a few thoughts of mine. As I mentioned, I found this 3-day cruise to be worth it. I enjoyed my little vacation very much. I will say that a 3-day cruise is not quite enough time to really enjoy the ship and all of the activities planned and all of the things offered. If you're brand new to cruising, you might want to start with a 3-day cruise to try it out. However, be aware that in my humble opinion, 3 nights is not nearly long enough to get a feel for the cruising experience. There were many, many things on the ship I did not get to do and places I did not get to spend time in because my time was so short. As far as the pros and cons of a last-minute cruise, I found this to be mostly pros. A week on the Queen Elizabeth might cost more than I normally spend on my vacation. Taking this last-minute cruise enabled me to grab a great fare and try out this ship without spending a ton of money. Now, the con of a last-minute cruise, of course, is booking your airfare. Usually you get the best deals on airfare the further out you book. So if you're buying last-minute airfare, you may negate the savings you made on your cruise fare by paying a little bit extra. Something else to be aware of with a last-minute cruise is cabin choice. When I grabbed this cruise at the last minute, there were exactly 2 rooms left on the whole ship, and both of them were interior rooms. So if cabin choice is important to you, you may find that last-minute cruises don't necessarily have the cabins that you're looking for. Something to be aware of. But again, in my opinion, a last-minute cruise, if you can swing it, it's a great spontaneous vacation, and you can save quite a bit of money on your cruise fare. For anyone left watching my video, I just want to say thank you so much for coming along on my little whirlwind trip. I do invite you to join in the conversation in the comments section about any of these topics, the Cunard cruising experience, the Queen Elizabeth, a 3-day cruise, or a last-minute cruise. If you're looking for much more information and details on the Queen Elizabeth or the tour I took in Vancouver, I will have those videos on my channel soon. I will have a ship review and I will have a ship tour on the way, so stay tuned. If you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoy the magic of cruising and please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great day and enjoy your next cruise. Bye-bye.